On a sweltering evening in New York, under the bright lights of the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center, a 20-year-old from the Philippines stood on the brink of defeat. Down 1-5 in the final set of her U.S. Open first-round match against the world number 14, the scoreboard told a story of inevitable elimination. For most players, the situation would have been a quiet surrender, a moment to accept defeat and walk off the court. But for Eala, this was not an ending. It was the beginning of a legend. What unfolded in the next 30 minutes was not just a tennis match. It was a paradigm shift, a moment of such seismic importance that it would fundamentally alter the trajectory of a young woman's life and forever change the sporting landscape of her homeland. In a single, stunning comeback, Eala didn't just win a match. She announced to the world that a new force had arrived, a force forged in the crucible of a Spanish academy, fueled by a family's unwavering belief and destined to shatter a century of barriers. This is the story of that match, the one that changed everything. Before the world witnessed the dramatic comeback at Flushing Meadows, the story of Eala began not in the tennis hotbeds of Europe or America, but on the hard courts of Pasig City in the Philippines. It was here that her grandfather first lobbed a ball at a young Alex and her brother Miko, planting a seed that would grow into a historic career. From these humble beginnings, it was clear that the Eala family was raising someone special. Her parents, Mike and Riza, recognized the extraordinary potential in their daughter and made the monumental decision to uproot their lives, relocating to Mallorca, Spain, to enroll her in the renowned Rafa Nadal Academy, RNA. At just 13 years old, Alex embarked on a journey that would define her future, leaving behind her homeland to train among the world's most promising young talents. The Rafa Nadal Academy was more than just a tennis camp. It was a comprehensive development program designed to forge champions, emphasizing not only technical skill but also mental fortitude, discipline, and character building. Eala quickly became its most precocious student, absorbing the wisdom of coaches like Tony Nadal and the philosophy of the legendary Rafa himself. She was featured in an Amazon Prime documentary about the academy, showcasing a player with immense promise yet not immune to the frustrations of a perfectionist. Early footage from the series captured a moment of self-doubt during a practice session, a rare glimpse of vulnerability that made her subsequent triumphs all the more compelling. The academy provided the state-of-the-art training and competitive environment she needed, but it was the emotional grounding from her family that allowed her to thrive. Her parents instilled in her a core value that would become her armor. What truly matters is how you feel about yourself and the joy you find in your work, and all the rest will follow. By 2022, the investments began to pay off in spectacular fashion. At just 17, Eala won the U.S. Open girls singles title, becoming the first Filipino to capture a junior Grand Slam trophy and signaling her arrival on the global stage. This victory was a powerful statement, but the transition from junior prodigy to professional contender is one of the most challenging paths in sports. The Eala fever that would later grip the Philippines was only just beginning to simmer. The foundation was laid, but the true test lay in her ability to compete against women who were often 10 years her senior. Following her junior success and a steady climb through the professional ranks, Eala's breakout moment on the main tour arrived like a hurricane in March 2025. Entering the Miami Open as a wild card, ranked 140th in the world, few expected the teenage Filipina to cause so much as a ripple in the draw. What transpired was a display of fearless tennis that sent shockwaves through the WTA Tour. In a spectacular run, Eala did the unthinkable. She defeated not one, not two, but three former Grand Slam champions in straight sets. She outplayed Jelena Ostapenko, the 2017 French Open champion, dispatched the formidable Madison Keys, the 2023 U.S. Open finalist, and then, in a career-defining statement, she dismantled world number 2 Iga Swiatek in a stunning straight-sets victory. The match against Swiatek was particularly poignant. Years earlier, a young Eala had posed for a graduation photo at the Rafa Nadal Academy with both Rafael Nadal and the Polish star. To face and defeat a player she once looked up to, a player who represented the summit of the sport, was a full-circle moment that symbolized her arrival at the highest level. Her run ended in the semi-finals against the eventual runner-up, Jessica Pegula, but by then the damage was done. Eala had become the first Filipino woman to reach a WTA 1000 semi-final and the first wild card to defeat 3 major champions in straight sets at the same WTA event. The immediate impact of the Miami Miracle was staggering. Her ranking leaped from world number 102 to number 75 in a single tournament, one of the fastest climbs in recent WTA history. The overnight fame brought a sudden shift in expectations and an undeniable pressure, but it also provided the momentum and belief that she could compete with the best. It was a signal to the world that the young Filipina was no longer a promising junior, but a genuine force on the professional tour. More importantly, it set the table for the match that would ultimately cement her legacy. The win over Swiatek was her announcement, a declaration of intent to the world. However, a single tournament win, no matter how spectacular, is often just a flash in the pan. The true mark of a champion is the ability to sustain that level, to prove that the success was not a fluke, but the arrival of a new contender. That validation would come later, on the grandest stage of all. The stage was set for Eala's ultimate test at the 2025 US Open. Following the highs of Miami, she had shown promise on the European circuit, making her Grand Slam debut at the French Open and securing her first WTA final appearance in Eastbourne. Yet, despite her climb into the top 75, the elusive first Grand Slam main draw win remained out of reach. She had come close, but the biggest tournaments demanded the most nerve. When she stepped onto the grandstand court on August 25, 2025, she faced not only a formidable opponent in the 14th-seeded Clara Tauson of Denmark, but also the crushing weight of history. No Filipino, man or woman, had ever won a Grand Slam singles main draw match in the Open era. Eala was not just playing for herself, she was playing for an entire nation yearning for a hero. The match unfolded in a manner that would become characteristic of Eala's indomitable spirit, a heart-stopping roller coaster of emotions. She took the first set 6-3, displaying the poise that had stunned Miami. However, Tauson, a former top junior and rising star, stormed back, using her powerful game to dismantle Eala in the second set, 6-2. As the third set began, the match appeared to slip irrevocably from Eala's grasp. Tauson surged ahead to a commanding 5-1 lead, twice serving for the match. The thousands of Filipino fans who had packed the grandstand court, waving flags and chanting her name, faced the grim prospect of heartbreak. Many players would have faltered under such a crushing deficit and the psychological burden of a Grand Slam. But this is where the character forged in Mallorca and nurtured by her family took over. Instead of surrendering, Eala began to fight. She clawed her way back, point by agonizing point, breaking Tauson's serve and forcing a decisive tiebreak. The tension was palpable as the tiebreak stretched into a marathon of nerves, each point a battle of wills. A controversial netcord call in the tiebreak that went Eala's way after a review seemed to shift the momentum decisively in her favor, but Tauson still refused to go away, saving multiple match points. The score in the tiebreak rocketed to 11-11, the outcome hanging in the balance. Finally, with a brilliant backhand winner, Eala earned her 5th match point and forced a final error from Tauson. As the Danish player's final shot sailed long, Eala collapsed onto her back in utter disbelief, then sprang to her feet in a moment of raw, unfiltered euphoria. She had done it. She had become the first Filipino to win a Grand Slam main draw singles match. The 2025 US Open victory was the match that changed Eala's career forever. It was not just a win, it was a transformative moment that validated years of sacrifice and announced her place on the world stage. The immediate aftermath was a torrent of emotions, with Eala overcome by tears of joy, acknowledging that the moment was bigger than her. "It's not just about me," she said courtside, her words resonating back home. "This is about inspiring kids back home, about showing them that we can belong on the stage." The victory transcended sports, sending a surge of pride across the Philippines and etching her name into the country's sporting history books. Eala had proven that the past success in Miami was no fluke, but a stepping stone to the biggest stages. Following the U.S. Open, Eala's confidence soared. She didn't rest on her laurels, but continued to build on her monumental achievement, proving that the victory was part of a larger upward trajectory. In a testament to her newfound mental fortitude, she secured her first WTA 125 championship at the Guadalajara Open later that year. Remarkably, she once again had to claw her way back from a first-set deficit against Panna Adverdi, winning 1-6, 7-5, 6-3 to capture the title and demonstrate that her resilience was becoming a defining trait of her career. This ability to stage improbable comebacks had become her signature. The 2025 season, bookended by the Miami breakthrough and the U.S. Open history-making, saw Eala compile a record of 40-26 and climb to a career-high ranking of world number 50. She had ended the previous season at world number 158, making her rise one of the most dramatic on tour. The young girl who had moved to Spain at 13 had transformed into a force of nature, carrying the hopes of a nation on her shoulders. The match at the U.S. Open was the catalyst that transformed her from a promising prodigy into a proven champion, proving that no deficit is insurmountable and that the heart of a champion can be found in the most desperate of moments. The match that changed Eala's career forever was not just about tennis. It was a powerful declaration of the resilience of the human spirit.